In the vast expanse of space, where countless civilizations rise and fall, there exists an unspoken rule. The younger the species, the less significant their achievements. At least that's what the Galactic Council believed. For centuries, they cataloged and studied remnants of ancient cultures across thousands of worlds, building a database of technological progression that seemed to follow a universal pattern. That was until they found Earth. I remember the day clearly. Our research vessel had been tracking unusual energy signatures from an unremarkable solar system when we detected something that defied explanation. Hidden beneath layers of sediment on Earth's ocean floor lay a structure that, according to our initial scans, was at least 12,000 years old. Nothing unusual there. We found plenty of ruins before. But this one was different. "Chief Researcher, you need to see this," my assistant called out, her voice trembling with excitement. The holographic display showed readings that made my heart skip a beat. The structure wasn't just a simple building or monument. It was an incredibly complex machine, composed of materials that shouldn't have existed in that era. The Council immediately classified Earth as another archaeological site, assuming we discovered traces of some long-lost spacefaring civilization that had visited the planet eons ago. They sent their best experts, allocated massive resources, and prepared to unveil yet another chapter in the galaxy's ancient history. But they were wrong. We were all wrong. As we delved deeper into our research, analyzing every microscopic detail of the structure, we began noticing oddities. The engineering principles didn't match any known alien civilization. The mathematical patterns were unique, yet strangely elegant in their simplicity. And then we found something that changed everything. Ancient human DNA embedded within the very materials of the machine. "Impossible," the council members whispered among themselves. "They're barely space-capable now. How could they have built something this advanced when they were still hunting with stone tools?" But the evidence was undeniable. Layer by layer, we uncovered more proof that challenged everything we thought we knew about technological evolution. The human researchers we eventually contacted were just as surprised as we were. They had theories about lost civilizations, of course. Their myths and legends spoke of advanced societies that vanished beneath the waves. But none of them had imagined the truth would be quite so extraordinary. We thought we'd found just another relic of the past. Instead, we discovered something that would shake the foundations of galactic society. Proof that humanity's potential had been vastly underestimated. But as we prepared to announce our findings to the galaxy, something happened. Deep within the ancient machine, systems that had lain dormant for millennia began to stir. That's when we realized this wasn't just a remnant of humanity's forgotten past. It was something more, something that had been waiting all this time for the right moment to awaken. And as the first lights flickered to life in its core, we began to understand that we weren't just dealing with an archaeological discovery. We were witnessing the beginning of something that would change the course of galactic history forever. But perhaps the most terrifying question wasn't what the machine could do. It was why humanity's ancestors had built it in the first place. And more importantly, why they had gone to such great lengths to ensure it would be found at exactly this moment in time. The first sign that something extraordinary was happening came when the machine began emitting a low rhythmic hum. It wasn't just noise, it was a pattern, a sequence that repeated every 108 seconds. Our instruments detected subtle gravitational fluctuations accompanying each cycle, as if the device was reaching out to touch the fabric of space-time itself. "We need to evacuate immediately," ordered the Council's security chief, his protective instincts kicking in. But the human scientists refused to leave. There was something in their eyes I'd never seen before, a mix of pride, wonder, and determination that seemed to be uniquely human. They argued that their ancestors had built this machine, and they had a right to be present when its purpose was revealed. The debate was cut short when holographic symbols began appearing above the machine. They weren't in any alien language we encountered. They were in Proto-Indo-European, an ancient human tongue. The human linguists worked frantically to translate the message, their excitement growing with each decoded symbol. "It's a warning," one of them finally announced, her voice hushed with awe. "But not about danger. They're warning us about time." The message spoke of a cycle, a cosmic event that occurred every 12,000 years. Our ancestors had faced it before, she explained. They'd survived, but just barely, and they'd built this machine to ensure their descendants would be better prepared when it happened again. The council representatives shifted uncomfortably. According to their records, no such cosmic cycle existed, but as we delved deeper into the machine's data banks, we found evidence that was hard to dismiss. Star charts showing subtle changes in celestial movements, mathematical models predicting gravitational anomalies, and most intriguingly, detailed plans for something called the Shield. What amazed me most was the sophistication of the engineering. These weren't crude approximations or lucky guesses. The mathematical principles behind the machine's design showed a deep understanding of physics that even our current civilization was only beginning to grasp. How had humans achieved this level of knowledge so long ago? And more importantly, what had caused them to lose it? The answer came from an unexpected source. One of the junior researchers noticed something peculiar in the machine's power distribution system. It wasn't just generating energy, it was storing memories, not in any digital format we recognized, but in the quantum state of its crystalline core. As we found a way to access this data, we began to understand the true scope of what we discovered. Our ancestors hadn't just built a warning system. They'd created a repository of their entire civilization, their knowledge, their technology, and most crucially, their experience with what they called the Great Wave. It was a phenomenon that swept through our galaxy periodically, altering the fundamental constants of physics itself. Each time it came, it brought chaos and destruction, but it also brought opportunity for those who were prepared. The machine was designed to wake up exactly 1 year before the next wave. Its purpose wasn't just to warn us, but to teach us everything we'd need to know to survive what was coming. And as more systems within it activated, we realized it contained something else: detailed instructions for building a device that could not just shield us from the wave, but harness its power. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. As we processed more of the stored data, we began to understand why the machine had been hidden underwater and why it had remained silent for so long. According to the records, the wave wasn't a natural phenomenon at all. It was engineered, created by something far older than humanity itself, and our ancestors had discovered its true purpose. The revelation sent shockwaves through both human and alien communities. The wave wasn't a cosmic accident. It was a test, a deliberate challenge created by beings who called themselves the architects. Every 12,000 years, they would unleash this phenomenon across different sectors of the galaxy, watching to see which civilizations would survive, adapt, and evolve. The council chambers erupted into chaos when we presented our findings. Some members demanded immediate military preparation, while others insisted on attempting communication with these architects. But the human representatives remained unusually calm. They'd been studying the machine's data intensively, and they'd discovered something that changed everything. Our ancestors didn't just survive the wave, explained the lead human scientist, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. They found a way to ride it. She pulled up a series of complex equations that demonstrated how the wave's energy could be channeled, not just deflected. The machine wasn't just a warning system. It was a blueprint for transformation. But time wasn't on our side. The machine's internal clock showed that we had less than 8 months to prepare for the wave's arrival. The construction of the shield would take at least 6 months with our combined technology, leaving little room for error. And that's when the machine revealed its most troubling secret. Deep within its memory core, we found evidence that humanity wasn't the first civilization on Earth to face the wave. There had been others, long before us, who had also built their own shields, but they had failed not because their technology was inadequate, but because they tried to face the wave alone. The quantum data showed that our ancestors had learned from these failures. They discovered that the wave's true purpose wasn't to test individual civilizations. It was meant to force cooperation between different species. The shield wouldn't work if built by humans alone. It required the combined knowledge and efforts of multiple civilizations, each contributing unique insights and abilities. As we raced against time to construct the shield, strange events began occurring across Earth and other inhabited worlds. Ancient structures, similar to the underwater machine, started activating. Each one contained pieces of the same message, but from different perspectives. Our ancestors hadn't just left one set of instructions, they'd scattered them across the galaxy, ensuring that only through cooperation could we piece together the complete solution. The Council's finest engineers worked alongside human scientists, combining technologies that had never been merged before. But as the shield took shape, we detected something alarming. The wave was accelerating, defying all previous calculations. It would arrive much sooner than we'd anticipated. Panic spread through the ranks as we realized we might not complete the shield in time. That's when we discovered the final message hidden within the machine's core. It wasn't just instructions or warnings. It was a letter written by our ancestors to whoever would find it. And its contents made our hearts race with both fear and hope. They hadn't just left us plans for a shield. They'd left us something far more powerful, something that could change the very nature of the wave itself. But using it would require a sacrifice, a choice that would affect not just humanity, but every civilization in the galaxy. And as the wave's energy began to ripple across the edges of our solar system, we had mere hours to decide whether to trust in our ancestors' final, desperate gambit. The machine's crystals pulsed with increasing intensity, revealing the true magnitude of what we faced. We weren't just fighting for survival anymore. We were about to challenge the architects themselves. And if our ancestors were right, the next few moments would either mark the beginning of a new era for all intelligent life, or the end of everything we knew. The machine's final message wasn't just a letter. It was a confession. Our ancestors had discovered that the architects themselves were running from something. The wave wasn't just a test. It was a desperate attempt to prepare younger civilizations for a threat so vast it had driven the mightiest species in the galaxy into hiding. While the shield's construction continued at a frantic pace, a small team of human and alien researchers made a stunning discovery in the quantum data. Hidden beneath layers of technical specifications were fragments of what appeared to be the architect's own historical records. They showed a universe far older and stranger than anyone had imagined, where space itself had begun to unravel. The wave isn't just energy, the chief physicist announced, her hands trembling as she displayed the latest findings. It's a ripple in reality caused by the collapse of an ancient dimension. The architects didn't create it. They're using it to strengthen the fabric of our universe. Each time the wave passed through a sector of space, it forced the surviving civilizations to develop technologies that would help maintain the stability of reality itself. But our ancestors had seen something the architects had missed. The wave was growing stronger with each cycle, not because it was meant to, but because the underlying structure of space-time was beginning to fail. The architect's solution was only delaying the inevitable, and each delay made the eventual collapse more catastrophic. That's when we understood the true purpose of our ancestors' device. It wasn't just a shield or a weapon. It was a repair tool. They had discovered a way to mend the tears in space-time, but the process required something the architects had never been willing to risk: direct contact with the consciousness of the wave itself. The Council was thrown into turmoil by this revelation. Some members immediately withdrew their support, arguing that tampering with the fundamental forces of reality was too dangerous. Others demanded we follow the architect's original plan, believing it safer to weather the wave than attempt to change it. But as we debated, the human scientists made another breakthrough. The quantum crystals in the machine weren't just storage devices, they were keys to understanding consciousness at a universal scale. Our ancestors had discovered that awareness itself was woven into the fabric of space-time, and the wave was more than just energy. It was alive. The choice before us became clear, yet impossibly complex. We could follow the architect's path, build the shield, and buy ourselves another 12,000 years, while the universe slowly unraveled. Or we could attempt something unprecedented, try to communicate with the wave itself, risking everything on the hope that our ancestors' understanding of cosmic consciousness was correct. As we grappled with this decision, the machine revealed one final surprise. The quantum crystals began resonating with a frequency we'd never detected before, and in that resonance we heard voices, echoes of consciousness from every civilization that had ever faced the wave. They were reaching out across time itself, trying to tell us something crucial about the nature of existence and our place in it. But before we could fully process this discovery, Our instruments detected a massive distortion at the edge of the solar system. The wave wasn't just arriving early. It was changing, evolving into something our ancestors couldn't have predicted. And in that moment, as reality itself seemed to bend around us, we realized that every assumption we made about our place in the universe was about to be challenged. The machine's crystals pulsed with an intensity that made the very air vibrate, and in their light, we saw something that made us question everything we thought we knew about consciousness, reality, and the true nature of the test we were about to face. The real question wasn't whether we could survive the wave. It was whether we were ready to understand what it had been trying to tell us all along. As the wave approached, the quantum crystals began to sing. There's no other way to describe it. The sound penetrated not just our ears, but our very consciousness, carrying with it fragments of memories from countless civilizations. In that moment, we understood why our ancestors had chosen to hide their greatest discovery beneath the waves, waiting for the day when both humanity and our galactic neighbors would be ready to face it together. The wave wasn't just conscious. It was a message encoded in the fabric of reality itself. Each pulse of energy carried fragments of understanding, pieces of a cosmic puzzle that only a unified consciousness could comprehend. The architects hadn't created the wave to test us. They had discovered it, just as our ancestors had, and their fear had led them to try controlling it rather than understanding it. With less than an hour before the wave would engulf our solar system, we made our choice. Instead of activating the shield, we initiated our ancestors' true plan. The machine began to resonate with the approaching wave, using the combined consciousness of every being present, human and alien alike, as a bridge between dimensions. What happened next defied explanation in any known language. The wave didn't just pass through us, it connected with us. Through the machine's crystalline matrix, we experienced every previous cycle of the wave, every civilization that had faced it, every choice they had made. We saw the architects' first encounter with it, their fear, their desperate attempts to control what they didn't understand. But most importantly, we saw what our ancestors had discovered. The wave wasn't a test or a threat. It was an invitation. An ancient species, far older than the architects, had found a way to transcend the physical limitations of our universe. Rather than face the eventual heat death of space, they had discovered a way to elevate consciousness itself to a higher plane of existence. The shield our ancestors designed wasn't meant to protect us from the wave. It was meant to protect the wave from the architects' interference. For millennia, they had been disrupting a process meant to guide younger civilizations toward a greater understanding of existence itself. As the wave enveloped Earth, something extraordinary happened. The quantum crystals didn't just resonate with it, they transformed it. Our combined consciousness, channeled through the ancient machine, created a bridge between dimensions that no single species could have achieved alone. We weren't just surviving the wave, we were becoming part of it, evolving into something beyond our previous understanding. The architects appeared then, not as the godlike beings we had imagined, but as frightened children who had been running from their own evolution. They had spent eons trying to control a force that was meant to free them from the constraints of physical existence. In the final moments, as reality itself seemed to shift around us, our ancestors' last message finally became clear. The true test was never about survival or technology. It was about trust. Trust in each other, trust in the unknown, and trust in the infinite possibilities of consciousness itself. But just as we thought we understood everything, the wave revealed one last truth. The ancient species who had created it hadn't ascended to a higher plane. They had become the wave itself, transforming their consciousness into a bridge between dimensions. And now, they were offering us a choice that would reshape not just our future, but the future of all conscious life in the universe. As the wave's energy began to stabilize, we realized that this wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Our ancestors hadn't just left us a warning or a weapon. They had left us an invitation to join something greater than ourselves. The real question now wasn't whether we would survive, but what we would choose to become. The machine's crystals dimmed, their purpose fulfilled, but the connection they had helped us forge remained. We had passed the true test, not by fighting against the wave, but by learning to become part of it. And in doing so, we had discovered that the greatest relics of our past weren't the machines we built, but the wisdom to know when to let go of our fears and embrace the unknown. In the days that followed, our understanding of existence itself underwent a profound transformation. The wave didn't disappear. It became a permanent bridge between dimensions, anchored by the network of ancient machines our ancestors had scattered across the galaxy. Each device served as a gateway, allowing consciousness to flow freely between physical reality and the higher dimensional space we now called the confluence. The Council underwent its own evolution, transforming from a governing body into a guide for civilizations approaching their first contact with the wave. The architects, humbled by the revelation of their millennia-long misconception, worked alongside us to undo the damage their fear had caused. Together, we began teaching younger species that the greatest adventures in the universe weren't about conquest or survival, but about understanding and connection. Earth's oceans revealed more machines, each containing different pieces of our ancestors' legacy. But the most valuable discovery wasn't their technology, it was their vision of what we could become. They had seen beyond the limitations of physical existence without losing touch with what made us human. Our capacity for wonder, our desire to connect, and our ability to trust in possibilities we couldn't yet understand. The quantum crystals, once thought to be mere data storage devices, became known as the Songs of Ascension. Each one contained the experiences and insights of countless civilizations that had chosen to join the confluence. Not everyone chose to make the transition, and that, we learned, was part of the beauty of the system our ancestors had helped create. It wasn't an end, but a beginning, offering each consciousness the freedom to explore existence on its own terms. Perhaps the most surprising discovery was that the wave's true purpose had always been about preservation rather than transformation. The higher dimension it connected us to wasn't an escape from our universe. It was a way to ensure that consciousness itself would survive long after the physical universe had grown cold and dark. Our ancestors hadn't just built a path to transcendence. They had created a way to preserve the very essence of what made us who we were. The machine that started our journey still rests beneath Earth's waters, its crystals humming softly with the songs of countless civilizations. We keep it as a reminder that the greatest discoveries often come not from fighting against the unknown, but from learning to embrace it. Its presence serves as a message to future generations that what seems like an ending might actually be an invitation to begin something extraordinary. Looking back, we understand now why our ancestors chose to hide their greatest achievement and wait for us to grow into it. They knew that the real power of their discovery lay not in the technology itself, but in our readiness to join with others in taking a leap into the unknown. What we thought was a relic turned out to be a key, not just to survival, but to a new chapter in the story of consciousness itself. As I record this account, new civilizations are making their first contact with the wave, and each one brings its own unique perspective to the confluence. The universe, we've learned, is not just stranger than we imagined. It's more beautiful, more interconnected, and more alive with possibilities than we ever dreamed possible. And so, while our physical forms may still walk the earth and sail between the stars, our consciousness now flows freely through dimensions our ancestors once glimpsed in dreams. They left us not just a machine, but a legacy of hope, proof that the greatest adventures await those who are willing to trust, to connect, and to believe in the infinite potential that lies within us all. In the end, what they thought was a relic turned out to be the future itself, waiting patiently beneath the waves for humanity to grow into its true potential. And that, perhaps, is the greatest discovery of all.